I should not be here.
You done?
Should I move or stay right here?
Yeah, you should scoot more that way away from the fucking mic.
Oh look, the Harley Quinn
bitch,
TV
get away
show.
from me. He's the loudest person ever. He needs to be twice as far away from the mic as either May or I. He's the loudest person ever.
I'm
Okay.
not that loud.
Take a bit of Soma. Got me going with the doublethink now. Fill me full of sweet aromas so I don't go sniffing around.
Woo.
Welcome to the Generic Lucky Shoe Podcast. This is our first ever published in-person episode. I'm trying to put this guitar down, and I suck at it. Okay.
I hate guitar.
Yeah, so this is our first ever published in-person episode. We did one last week, but I screwed up the audio because I'm an idiot.
It was a
as
good
per
episode
usual.
too.
Yeah, we pretty much just made fun of Ben Shapiro the whole time, so I'm not sure it was, like, fantastic.
I'm sure it was amazing.
I probably would have found it a little boring. Not gonna lie, I probably would have not cared for it too much.
Yeah, we were very off topic and rambly.
Yeah, we just kind of did whatever. Like, every time, actually.
It took us like 2 hours to get through a 10-minute video.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Don't look at your phone, you motherfucker.
I'm just taking the
No,
time.
no
You and
reading
your
your fan
phone
fiction.
You and that phone addiction.
I'm just taking the
Fanfic
time.
addiction.
Your fanfic addiction. Fan dick addiction.
If only I liked my
Fan
actual
fiction?
shit that I needed to read as much as that, I would absolutely be flying through my PhD work right now.
Wait, is that like a clip from Harley Quinn?
Which one?
The one.
Yes, yes, top
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah, that
yes,
one.
yes, that is.
God, I love that show.
Wait a minute. Don't look at the screen.
Why?
Because this is a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It is.
People can't see the screen except for the people watching on YouTube. Go watch our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube as well as Spotify, which most of you found us on YouTube so far. So, also we have a Spotify. If you watch us on YouTube, you can go on Spotify. It's convenient. So there you go.
What accent was that?
I don't know. It's kind of like Chris Reagan.
Yeah, it actually was kind of like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that if I watch more than like one of his videos, all of a sudden I start talking like him in my normal day-to-day life, which is not ideal. So
Why is it not ideal? Walk me through this.
you gotta say that his accent is not the most normal, and it can confuse people. They're like, "What? Why are you talking like that? Why are you doing that? It's unnecessary." You know, that short bursts of syllables. It's not very normal.
Where does he live?
He hails from New York originally.
Oh, okay.
Those bastards,
Weird fox.
like Bernie Sanders.
Sanders.
Yes, standards.
I thought you
Bernie
had.
Standards.
Yes, that's a new thing. We'll have the Bernie
I
standards.
thought you had like a drunk accent.
I probably do.
Yeah,
It's probably just my normal accent, but slurry.
totally. I mean, this is how I talk all the time.
Yeah, you do have kind of a slurry voice.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most gone here, and
Yeah.
I'm talk the most eloquently.
The most eloquently.
Yes.
Big eloquence.
Yes. Out of
Look
you
at that.
two.
We're like real YouTubers. We have some fan panels.
Wait, do YouTubers have that?
Yeah, a lot of the time they do.
I mean, this is
Really?
actually like.
Especially if they have big gamer energy.
Does it
So
actually
Pokemon.
do shit,
Yeah,
or is
Pokemon.
it just?
I don't know.
there
I've
for
never watched
decoration?
her, so I wouldn't know.
It's their... Yeah, so some panels like that generally are blocking... it's more... Yeah, blocking treble frequencies.
Oh.
It's like higher pitch frequencies. And it also just reduces general room echo,
Oh,
which is
okay.
good for a podcast because hearing one of my voices is more than enough. So
I will vouch for that, yes. One of you is more than enough.
I like talking.
I like words. You're
I
good.
like.
You're in the right place.
I
This is a
like periods
podcast.
and commas.
I don't like commas.
Do you like periods and commas?
Yes.
You have the best grammar.
Yay.
You finally learned
I can speak at a 5th grade level now.
this many.
I
held
speak
up 5
words
fingers.
very goodly.
I held up 5 fingers for the people on Spotify that should be watching on YouTube or can continue on Spotify because we need
Yeah.
those viewers too. All viewers matter.
grade level right
I'll
here.
narrate for you when I do a physical action. I'll try not to.
I slapped Marcus just now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hot.
Exactly. I'll make out with him later. Don't worry.
It's definitely like I've noticed a lot of podcasts will get video involved and then become completely unlistenable to.
Oh yeah, because they're
just hanging out in a room and like doing a bunch of physical comedy stuff, and they keep referencing what they're doing, like you can see it, and it's like I can't see it though, you bastards. So we're gonna try not doing that.
I'm currently naked.
You don't need to see that.
That is very true.
I am
yes,
currently fucking
true.
myself right now.
Okay, I wasn't gonna go that far.
That's hot. So, wow, that's an old meme. History of the entire world, I guess. How
That
do
was
you
a
feel
good
about
meme. That was a good
meme.
meme. That was good.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Drink some more.
Oh,
Literally,
yeah.
I need it.
Toast to our first published live podcast episode.
Yeah, bitches.
Hopefully, unless I fuck up the audio again.
Which, knowing you will.
Or say something you regret.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's
say,
every podcast. I do that every podcast.
I'm the editor, so I get to remove all my fuck ups.
Yeah, all my fuck ups are still there.
I've said some pretty bad shit that I'm like listening back to and I'm like, yeah, I would get fired.
Yeah, but you leave my stuff in.
I do.
Yeah,
I can get fired.
Hey, if you want me to take something out, you can tell me directly.
And I'm in a more liberal place that we're more likely to fire people for
but
saying things.
At the same time, you're an ethnic minority, so you do have a little bit of protection.
Yeah, until they realize that my last name is Walquist and I'm half white and I was raised by my white dad.
Just be Rajesh. Embody your true Indian.
Should I just change my legal name to Balakrishnan?
Do it.
My mom would be happy about that, actually. She would love that. She actually, when I was growing up, she was like, why don't you just have your name as Balakrishnan? It'd be cute.
It is kind of a badass name, to be honest.
Yeah.
Balakrishnan.
Balakrishnan. What is it?
Balakrishnan. Balakrishnan.
Balakrishnan.
Balakrishnan.
Yeah, so Raj Carl Balakrishnan.
Don't be like, God damn it, Carl.
Carl with a K. With a K, yes.
KK Carl.
And then you see my brother's names.
That was a close one.
What?
KK Carl.
KK
That
Carl.
was close to too many K. One more K and you would have been off to the gulag.
Oh
That's
no,
for sure.
it's KK and then Carl with the K. That's 3 Ks.
Call them off to the
Gulag.
gulag.
Yeah.
It's gulag
Gulag
times.
times. Yeah.
We said the same thing at the same time. That's hot.
We're just thinking about gulagging.
We're just butt buddies.
Yeah.
We're just little butt pals, as they say.
I mean, that's what our girlfriends thought of us, or at least
Yeah.
my girlfriend at the time, not my ex. But
Yeah. When she was like, "Wow, I feel like a third wheel." I was like, "Well, you probably are."
to be fair, she was a third wheel during that weekend. That's gonna feel awful. Just be like dating someone and being like, a friend comes over for like a week, or it was like 3 or 4 days you came down for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like for those 3 or 4 days, I just felt like a third wheel. Like I was the
Shit.
extra in the relationship.
That's how we felt too when you visited me in Duluth that one time. So.
I never
Yeah.
got to visit you in Duluth.
No, I offered a lot, and then you were like, it's not a good time.
Maybe it's not too late.
I kind of want to go to Duluth again. I miss the town.
I want to go to Duluth.
Should we go to Duluth?
We can
Yeah.
go to Duluth.
The Amigos. A podcast, very Lucky Shoe podcast in Duluth. Come join us in Duluth, live on place.
Summer.
Is it?
They have like a big stage area where rock stars come and play music. So.
Isn't Duluth like a shithole or something?
It is.
Okay, Duluth is
At some places.
really, really
Minneapolis.
nice. Very beautiful place. There are just some places that there are large groups of people with knives, and they'll ask you for your money.
That was the
Friendly
most
people.
times.
Yeah.
That was the most times I heard gunshots in my life. The most amount of gunshots I've ever heard.
Yeah,
came
you'd
from
be
that weekend.
surprised about Duluth. I feel like most people are surprised when they learn that about Duluth. But there are definitely some parts where it's pretty intense.
I heard the police there are pretty shitty as well.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the police everywhere are kind of not
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
I'm not a
That's
big
true.
fan of the cops, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely a place. Duluth is really pretty though, and I love the town.
Oh yeah,
but
Lake Superior is beautiful. We used to go up there all the time.
I'm sad. I'm gonna miss. There's like a particular time of year that I really like in Duluth. And that's where the ice has just started to melt and is breaking. And if you go to the shore at that time, the ice will be like washing on the waves, but it'll all be like shards of ice, and it makes a really nice like slushy sound.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It sounds so cool, and it's very relaxing, and I like nap out there sometimes.
In the cold.
In the cold. I like the cold though.
Yeah, because you're weird.
Yeah, I wait for someone to mug you when you're asleep.
But I'm far out there, so
There's our difference.
yeah.
We found a difference between us. You like the cold. Besides the obvious physical ones.
I hate the cold.
Yeah, right?
Fuck the cold. I'm
Right?
usually really depressed in winter.
I just hate the cold.
Summer, I function in 90-degree weather. I'm weird like that.
You are weird like
Yeah.
that. I want it to be 60 and 70 constantly and
Forever.
be perfect and happy.
That would be good. I do just love, like, when it hits a cold snap and it's like -15 or something, it feels good, though.
Yeah, not really, no.
No.
I don't like feeling cold in my house, but I like being able to step outside and have it be cold as hell.
That
I
can be
used
nice.
to-
Yeah, that can be
Okay,
nice.
maybe I have a bias because I lived with that one roommate where in the
Ooh,
basement...
tell us about this roommate and who they were, and
Yeah.
then go to the full. Oh, we want the full thing.
The address.
No.
I don't need the address. I don't care
I'm
about
not
that.
going to talk about that on the podcast, but yeah, the basement I lived in, it was like around 50 degrees in the winter, or maybe like even like 45,
Yeah.
40. It was really cold, and it was like that.
I don't like when my hands go numb when I'm like typing on a keyboard. That's
And
not a fun
I
feeling.
had to wear like at least 2 winter coats when I went to bed. It was bad.
Oh man, in college I lived in a place that you could literally feel the wind through the walls.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The walls
wow.
were so thin, like the exterior walls were so thin, you could feel the wind through them.
That's pretty cool, actually.
And that was when I was in Duluth. It was cold. It was more than cool.
How much
Yeah.
was that? How much did that cost to live at that place?
I don't even want to tell you, man.
Was it that
way
much?
too much?
Like 600?
Yeah, it was trash. It was more than that actually, but yeah, it was bad.
I'm happy I went to Ames because when I went to Ames, I had like my highest rent was I think $450.
I sued the landlord though, so
Oh, you
Did you win that? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you won
I
because
did.
he didn't show up to court
yeah.
Wait,
No.
why did you sue them?
because he was shit. He was awful.
Yeah, mostly because he was shit. But what actually like gave me a good reason to sue him was he didn't give me my security deposit back.
Oh,
So,
nice.
but I would have like, I wanted to sue him for the crappy living conditions. I kind of regret not asking like the city to send an inspector out because that house is not habitable during winter. At least not that first floor because it was literally below freezing. The pipes froze during the
Oh,
winter.
fuck.
So
Oh, just like Texas, right?
yeah, it would literally not pass inspection. I kind of wish I had sent someone out there because he
The-
shouldn't be renting that.
The difference is Duluth is supposed to be able to withstand the cold. Texas is not made to withstand it because they never deal with it.
Texas, yeah, that's a weird. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know much about Texas power grid
Well,
or whatnot.
So
From-
basically, Duluth is like a Texas city in Minnesota.
Yeah, honestly, this is probably not a very well informed opinion, but like the main thing that I think, okay, top reason that Texas lost power, if I was to guess, would be that they're not very well connected to the rest of the United States in terms of their power grid. I think they only have one connection or two to states outside of themselves, and most states are constantly like buying and selling energy between the states.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a whole energy market, and there's lines that cross the states, and Minnesota might buy from Wisconsin sometime because it's, you know, cheaper in Wisconsin right now. But Texas can't do that. So if they have an energy crisis, if their load is higher than they expected, they can't buy from other states to compensate for that. And then you can start getting too much power draw, and it can cause problems, which I think that's the primary factor. A secondary factor is that their buildings aren't built for the cold,
They are not.
and
yes.
that would cause a exceptional
Leakage.
load.
Yeah, the leakage in heat so that uses power
And-
to try and compensate for that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of like, I in my head I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Duluth, where it's you have no one, like very very few houses in Duluth have a cooling unit. Like there's no AC in Duluth. Only like the rich ass people have AC. So most people just like throw a fan in the few days that it actually gets hot enough to warrant a fan, you just throw a fan in a window and it's fine. Because there's normally a pretty good breeze in Duluth as well, so it's like, why have a cooling system? But I think Texas suffers from the fact that heating units take more power than cooling units.
That would make sense actually, because they also had a backup type thing where it was some form of green energy. I forget exactly which one it was, if it was solar or wind power or something like that. But I think that the thing was, if the power grid fails or whatever, if they did, they would rely on a backup. But then because of the backup, the freezing cold came in and disrupted that and wasn't built for it. It affected it.
Yeah,
Could make sense.
I don't think the green energy had any problems actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe it was the transfer from the two. I don't know.
and the green energy only makes up about 20% of their power supply, which is a lot more than I thought it was. Honestly, when I hear Texas, I'm like, no renewable energy in Texas. But apparently, they actually have quite a bit.
I mean, are they flat? No, they're not flat. They have quite a bit of other things.
They have a lot of wind, apparently, in the western part of Texas.
Okay.
They have a lot of wind.
Oh, okay.
My parents actually drove through it, and it's just miles and miles of wind turbines.
Okay.
Going.
But maybe not enough energy to compensate for the entire grid being overtaxed.
Well, yeah, apparently there was something with like oil supply. Like they weren't getting enough fuel for their normal power plants, too. So there was like
which is
fossil fuel supply issue.
Which is weird too, because Texas produces fossil fuels.
Maybe they sold too much or something.
I thought that there was oil being produced in Texas, or at least off the coast of Texas.
Yeah, and this is where my knowledge of the industry kind of fizzles out, is because I don't know how the supply of the fuel goes, but maybe they weren't expecting this much load and they couldn't secure enough fuel. Like they sold too much to another state and they didn't have enough in reserve or something.
And this gets really weird now, because I know for past
no idea.
free use we stopped buying from like other places. I thought that the whole we made enough that we could store oil and we could store that stuff. And if Texas was one of the places, like I would probably assume that they have at least some sort of a stockpile. They couldn't tap into that stockpile or something.
It might be federal too.
That could be
Damn,
something must be
liberal.
going on.
This is like where my knowledge. I know how the power stuff works. This is where my knowledge of like the actual economics of it is. I don't have it. I don't know how.
Do we have an economist on standby?
A natural fossil fuel economic specialist.
Yes, on standby. No,
no.
Wait,
Unfortunately,
was that the first time Texas has ever gotten that cold?
probably not the first time, but
first time in our lifetime, maybe.
in recent memory, probably.
Yeah.
So I remember the polar vortex reached like more south than usual a few years ago. Then now it hit Texas. That was during the polar vortex, right?
I don't know.
I don't even know what the polar vortex is.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm not a climate guy.
Absolutely, I'm not a climate.
I'm an energy grid guy. I like how we're even talking about an energy grid thing, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Okay,
It's such a big system and has so many moving parts. It's like, how do you know about it all?
you don't, and this gets into the problem even in like academia.
The experts, like the actual veterans of the industry, probably have a better idea. But I'm like, I work tangentially to the power grid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't work actually with it. So.
If you want to understand a topic, like actually understand the topic in this day and age, it has become, you need to specialize. And it's not just like, so for example, I'll go academia because I actually am in academia and I know some of the verbiage there and some of the ideas and stuff that's going on. But like in the math world, supposing you go to a conference on analysis, which is proving calculus, it's that sort of thing. You expect to not understand what the hell is going on in the first 5 minutes. If you are not a specialist in analysis, you expect to not know what anything is being talked about within 5 minutes. Even if you have a PhD in math, you know math, you spent all your life researching it, you expect within 5 minutes you won't know anything what they're talking about. If you don't specialize in that exact field, so like algebra, say you're an algebra specialist, and the topic is on Lie algebras or Lie algebra, I think it's called Lie algebra. If you don't specialize in Lie algebra, you expect you don't know what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to understand the talk, you need to not only specialize in the field, you need to be a specialist of that specialization. Then you understand the field. Until then, it's just like, okay.
It's too hyper specialized.
It's just 10 minutes in, you're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even care anymore because there's just so much knowledge. It's just being missed. Like, even with me.
You need the background. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Like,
for anything.
yeah.
And like a good speaker, that's where you need to know your audience as the speaker, I guess. I mean, if you're talking in a seminar to a bunch of professionals in your specialized field, you need to...
And that's what they're assuming. They're assuming you're like, they're giving like a specialized talk. So like,
yeah.
I think with the pathway I'm going, I'm going to know a lot about like...
One thing.
I'm going to know a lot because my advisors love regression and linear algebra and all the stuff associated with predicting. So like having a data set and being able to model a data set. I'm going to know a ton about modeling. That's just like, and statistics. And then when it gets to like psychometrics, which is testing,
yeah, I'm
just going to know nothing. I'm just going to be like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You just give me the data and I'll run it, man. I don't care about how you...
That is going to be me. I'm just going to be like, okay, I don't do... Like, if you look at all my professors and their work, it's like, we use this data set. Why do we use this data set? Because so many people used it and it's all been there. And we're only caring about the model. We don't actually care about the data. We just needed a data set.
We trust how they got it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We just need a data set.
What bothers me is the freaking journalists, man.
Oh, they're worthless. Most of them.
It honestly, like, especially with this Texas thing, it instantly was politicized. Like, instantly it was politicized. And
of course.
All the right-wing people were like, oh boy, renewable energy is all to blame. And all the left-wing people were just defending renewable energy. Which, in fairness, this time it wasn't renewable energy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it normally is.
And then they jumped on the Ted Cruz, like, hate train of, like, he was leaving in a crisis.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm on the left-wing side, but I also see, like, I feel like they aren't arguing with the right intentions.
Neither
like,
of them
even
are.
if it was, like, I feel like even if it was renewable energy's fault, people on the left would still be, like, arguing.
It's fine.
That
great.
That
like,
it's worth it.
Climate change was talked about a little bit, but not as much as renewable energy.
Yeah, but
like Texans or the right wing, they were just all like, "Oh, that's just Mother Nature. You can never predict her."
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
Yeah,
I've literally I have seen prediction models. I have seen the math behind it. You absolutely can predict it. There's a reason that our forecasting for weather has gotten better in the past decade. It's because we've got a repository of all this shit, and we can make much better differential equation models and use PDEs better.
But
you absolutely can.
Well, it just started muddying the waters because if sorry, back to journalism.
Yeah,
it just like muddied the waters, especially. I mean, the right wing shit was literally just like, it's renewable energy's fault, and not much explanation outside of that. But then in the rush to defend renewable energy, there's so much like random stuff that I was like, that doesn't really relate, you know?
Well, if you hear any journalist really talk about climate change, I'm willing to bet that they're wrong. And this is based off of just my extrapolation from all they're talking about COVID and COVID modeling, which I probably said on this podcast before, but like I've actually done some stuff with it. I did a senior seminar on it. Dude, if you don't know what, like, how the model works, if you don't know how the data is collected, if you don't know how you can make some really random shit. And that's why you had all these random models coming out and people say, and then all the journalists would talk about the models and it's just like,
it's out there.
You were just wrong. Everything you said is absolutely wrong because you have no idea what the model does. And the reason you don't know it is because the model is based on differential equations and stuff. And you're a journalist. You have no idea what the hell a differential equation is. You just don't know it's just beyond you.
Yeah.
So there's just no point in you talking about it because it's just all wrong. I hated when people talked about the COVID model. I hated it.
There needs to be better cross talk between specialists and the public.
Yeah, because
in general, I mean, the journalists. Honestly, there should just be technical journalists. I mean, there are technical journalists, but there's still more journalists than technical
journalists, and
it's like there should be. I don't even know, man.
The journalists know how to write, but then they don't know the topic, and then we get back to teaching, where it's the same thing. They know how to teach, but they have no idea the topic that they're teaching. So what's the point? Same thing with journalists.
And this is the argument. This is the whole argument for actually having liberal education in college, which every STEM person hates when you make a point to defend liberal education. But honestly, it's important to learn how to communicate with people, because otherwise everything you find about these models and shit is useless because nobody understands it.
No. It's more so that they have to take random classes that they don't care about.
Yeah.
It's not so like communication. I am on board with the whole if you don't care about a course.
That's where it becomes stupid. Yeah. I'm just saying this part of liberal education actually makes sense.
Yeah. If to be fair, every single college person, if you're going to go into a scientific field, should take a communications course, like in like mass communications or like writing, something to communicate and really complex.
Approach it sincerely too, because I did. My advanced technical writing course, I was like, fuck this. And I didn't take it. I didn't follow it sincerely. No. So
I actually did take it seriously. I was actually praised in my course, but like it was kind of bullshit. Like I took it seriously, but it was like there were multiple days where I was sitting in class and what did I do that day?
Yeah.
I talked about rock and roll with a dude sitting next to me. And that's what I was supposed to be doing. That's what I should be doing. And, like, I didn't affect anything in my grade or it didn't affect what we were doing for that day. Like, that shouldn't be happening.
Where I learned most of my technical writing skills was actually my RU, my research experience, research undergraduate experience or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, those are very difficult to get into. I'm surprised you got into one.
I just applied to, like, a million of them. I also have a really good college GPA somehow. So.
Somehow. Fuck you for that.
I mean,
I have an awful GPA in college. I had just awful.
I was also a huge nerd in college. Like, I got really into school for some reason.
Which is surprising, because everyone I talk to about...
They don't believe you, which is hilarious.
Sebastian, actually, which is a friend of ours. I say friend, but he's not a friend. He's like an acquaintance or someone we know. And
yeah.
We know him.
I remember him.
He's
a long
interesting.
Time ago.
But, like...
He was my best friend for a long time, but...
I just don't know him enough to call him a friend. Like, I've talked to him cordially and, like, nicely, but I don't know him enough to say, you are my friend.
Yeah.
But, like, he didn't believe me. Like, he openly thought that your dad, like, basically brown beat you into doing well in school.
Yeah, the moment that I feel like we kind of went our separate ways is when he called me a stupid, lazy, sexist pig.
Misogynistic.
Misogynistic, sexist pig. I remember pig was in there. So, and then I was like, oh, okay. Because I kept badgering on why he stopped talking to me randomly all of a sudden. And then eventually, like, just was like, bleh. I was like, holy shit, okay. I guess that's that.
And that was about the time you were mad at me and wanted me to apologize to him.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about apologizing to him, but you wanted me to apologize.
He got mad at you, and I wasn't sure what you did. But I was like, Sebastian's a pretty level-headed guy. I guess he was just having a bad year or something. I don't know. But
I wonder what he looks like
nowadays. Was a lazy bastard in high school, so that's fair.
It was high school. It's useless. This is coming from someone who, like, believes in education and wants it and pursues higher education. Oh god,
are we going to go to education already?
Probably. It's me. I'm here. It always goes to education.
Because you love your job.
Look in my eyes. Do I love my job?
We're only half an hour in and
we're already right now. You're very passionate about it.
I'm passionate about it, but I hate it. But, like, it's high school. It's if you've ever been in a normal high school course that's mandatory, it's just like the most drummed down, stupid, worthless thing you could ever do.
High school's useful if you come from a family that doesn't have a lot of money for college.
Yes, it's very useful.
So I'm privileged as hell to say that high school is useless. But if you come from a family, if you come from a money that doesn't have very much family, I've been watching way too much MASH, so when I make a mistake like that, I find it really funny because it's the kind of humor MASH has a lot of the time.
So have I, actually.
Nice.
Cheers.
Wait, didn't we go to one
MASH
of
is
the
good.
better high schools?
Oh,
We went to a fantastic high school. It is top rated in the country.
Shit.
It is amazing.
yeah, Minnesota's top rated in the country in terms of states, and then
EP was highly
high
rated.
in Minnesota, so that shows overall in the country.
We had so many AP courses.
Although,
It's incredible.
Oh,
We had
could
master's degrees.
you could get all of your classes AP pretty much.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah, which is insane.
And you'd have people with master's degrees teaching them, not just like a BA who happens to teach an AP course. No, this is a legit, like, our physics teacher had a master's degree in physics. The calculus teacher we had, even though she was awful and she was a worthless person.
She was a good teacher, though.
She had a master's degree in mathematics, and B, she was a fabulous teacher. Worthless individual. I hated her gut, but she could teach.
what was her name?
Miss Johnson.
Oh yeah, the one the person you wrote a song about.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the song, but I remember writing a song about her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
sucked.
awful.
Yeah.
She was absolutely an awful person. Made me want to quit math. I got a degree in math, so that should show you how much I hated her. The only reason I went forward is because I was Mr. Moss, our physics professor,
Yeah.
he was absolutely amazing.
Oh my god, my brother's art teacher. He was like, I forgot what his name was, but he was like high all the time, and he absolutely loved his job. He knew how to teach his students about art. He just like, just go express yourselves. I'm judging you about, I am grading you on how much effort you put into this project, how much soul you put into this piece of work. And he just gave no shits about anything. Like he saw my brother play like video games in class. Like he brought a Switch, and like he walked up to my brother and he was like, "Whoa, look at the animation of that video game. Is that hand drawn?" Like he was just like asking these questions to my brother. He was like genuinely interested in what my brother was playing because the game had artistic merit to it.
It's kind of dope.
Yeah.
A little different in a math course.
True.
That would not fly. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't pay attention in math, you're left behind and you're screwed.
Art's a little different than math.
Yeah. Well, not as much as people think, actually. There's a lot of art that goes into math. The one quote from Rick and Morty that is true. There's a lot more art in science and mathematics than people think.
That's true.
And you need to be very creative. A fun quote from, I don't know, I forget which famous mathematician, but it was like a dude left the math like graduate thing. This was a long time ago, like 100 years ago maybe. Went to go do poetry, and the graduate professor just remarked, like, I think it was Gauss, maybe it not been Gauss, but I'm going to go with Gauss just because. It just remarked, good, he wasn't creative enough to do mathematics. Let him go to poetry. You need a ton of creativity to do that stuff. It's stupid.
I think that less creative people can get really good at the science that we know. But
The basic science that we know.
They're not going to advance fields very much.
Well, the basic stuff. Because you hit a certain point where it's just like, no, you need creativity. If you're going to come up with this proof, if you're going to understand it, you need to be creative. Like, why did you randomly do this thing? I don't know, because I thought it would work. Just a creative spur of the moment. Why don't I just try this? And randomly the proof falls out perfectly.
And persistence. Because you're going to try a lot of shit that it won't work, I would assume.
Oh, absolutely. I think I spent 6 hours on a problem.
Just trying random crap.
Yeah, just thinking about it. And it turned out I was only half right.
Yeah. Honestly, even in my rudimentary experience with proofs and shit in discrete math, which is baby proof.
It's very baby. It's fun proof.
Yeah, but
great.
Even that, there's some things that I would just sit on for a while and just let it sink in my head, and I would just come up with it random, while taking a shit or something. I wouldn't even be working on homework.
Yeah,
but I would just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense,
that is how you do.
I can just make x equal to this expression and it will fall out well.
Yeah, it really helps to just take a break or sleep on it.
Dude, shits are that's where epiphanies happen, man. On the shitter.
You just take a walk. that was the joke in analysis. How do you solve anything in real analysis, which is the first class for proving calculus, real analysis. How do you solve any question there? You set epsilon equal to 0, you read the question 4 times to memorize it, you hit your head against the chalkboard, and then you go walk for a while. And then like 3 hours later, magically it all falls out and you kind of understand what's happening and you go write the proof.
Yeah, you have to get the blood flowing in your brain and you have to relax a little bit and eventually you'll get it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's like playing a hard video game. It's like, you know, you're playing Dark Souls, you can't really beat this boss, you're getting so fucking frustrated at it, even after playing for like 3 hours. And then, you know, you go to bed, take a break or whatever the fuck, and all of a sudden you can beat it on your first try.
Yeah, maybe. Because some problems, like what my professor gave me, were like, oh yeah, this dude solved it in like 1800 and it was like a famous problem. Have fun. You have a week to solve it. Good luck. It's just like, I don't know what is even being talked about here. What is going on in this stupid class? I love the professor.
Honestly, I wish just people in general appreciated math more. Because, like, it, even if you don't get very far into math, it like, just gives you a new way of thinking about shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
A different way of approaching problems, even just everyday problems. Like, the famous question with math is, when am I going to use this in the real life? In the real world?
Time.
And it's, like, especially when you get into, like, the more logical side of math, where it's less arithmetic, blah, 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 algebra, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When you actually get into, like, the logic and mild proof shit that I was doing, like, it changes the way you think about even language.
The thing that's not applicable that you probably will never use is probably the word problems you see in algebra.
The word,
God.
It's so worthless.
Oh my god.
Those word problems are literally the education system's attempt to make you see how it's applicable in the real world, and it is literally the farthest thing away from anything that you would apply to in the real world. You would never do that.
You would maybe do that 1,000 years ago, or like 1,200 years. It's so long ago, but like if you actually had that problem given to you, you would A, approach it a different way, and B, you would use different methods. Like you wouldn't solve it using the methods that they tell you to. You would use it solving probably calculus or some other stuff.
Yeah.
It's like 1,000 years behind where it should be. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's so frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
It's literally, oh, how does this apply to the real world?
This doesn't. This really doesn't. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to like get into tutoring online using I think Wise Ant is the website. And I needed to go over some of those freaking word-based questions. And I almost failed the fucking quiz. And I'm like, this is Algebra 1. I can't fuck this up. But I was like honestly struggling with some of them because I'm like, I haven't done any of this since middle school. You don't use this.
You never use it. You absolutely don't use it. And then the math that you do later on is just so far removed and so different. And it's very difficult. So it's like, I'm training myself to do all this stuff, do all these things, and like, I don't know what the hell this is and what you're supposed to be doing here. It doesn't even matter.
Every once in a while, there's like a trick that you learned in middle school, like a math trick.
Oh, yeah,
that you need to use to miraculously solve a problem.
Yeah.
That's the time that you use anything from middle school, is just like remembering those stupid fucking identities.
That I actually have memorized because I actually had to use proofs on them and like do stuff with it. So I actually have a lot of identities memorized. But there are tricks that is just like, I didn't know this trick. I have a degree in math. I have no idea what this is.
Oh,
I've never seen this.
You literally just like look up how to solve XX problem.
Yeah.
And it shows up.
Oh yeah. And then
you just get on your Google machine and it's like, how to solve the formula y equals bullshit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, bullshit. I'm like, okay.
It's sometimes interesting to like actually prove it and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like, how did you know this? It's you look back on it. You look it up and then go, oh, okay, this is cool. Let's go backwards and do it from there. Oh, this makes sense. How would you have come up with it on your own? I wouldn't have.
Never.
I would not have done this
at all. Like the resistor formula in like circuit analysis. I have that memorized, but my first time, I actually proved it every time I used it until I had it memorized. I never, yeah. It's an easy proof. It's literally like, yeah, 2 resistors in parallel is like, it's not a proof. But anyway, it's like basically just some algebra manipulation to get it into a nice
the form,
format.
and then it follows some definition, and you call it a day.
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
and
yeah.
So I just redid that. It's a derivation. That's what I should call it. I never looked it up again. I just redid the derivation until I had it memorized.
So you did a physics proof each time.
Yes, a physics proof. That's a good term.
It's a physics proof.
I like physics proofs.
All of physics proofs are nothing but derivations for the most part. Like
Yeah.
whenever they say prove, they really mean just derive it.
Oftentimes you do an integral or something to get it, into a good form.
Yeah. And then you go to math and it's like, what is a proof? Oh yeah, we have to actually
Words?
we have to prove what the hell an integral is, and it's nothing but like a full page of just words. I think I wrote more. Like the joke in engineering is you never see numbers, you just see letters.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's the joke in engineering. In math, you don't see numbers at all, or like,
Or
or
symbols.
integers,
Yeah.
or like symbols. You write in full
Words.
sentences.
Yeah.
That's it.
In engineering, you don't see numbers, you see letters. In math, you don't see letters, you see words.
You just see words. It's just
And
written
epsilons.
words.
I am so lost right now.
Just
I mean-
know.
I'm the person who passed algebra 2 with a G minus. So
It's a pass.
yeah.
Epsilon is greater than delta?
No, it's for all epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0.
Ah, there you
So
go.
so you can think
That's
of it.
all you need to know.
So you can
It's
think
pretty
of it-
simple.
Oh, okay.
You can think of it in the romantic sense. Supposing epsilon is any person, for all epsilon, so for all people, there is a delta out there. There is one delta for you out there, for anyone out there. There's a one delta for you. Just need to find your delta.
That's so wholesome. I love it. Math is wholesome.
In reality, it's an awful definition for continuity and limits. Like, do you know what a continuous function is, or like
I have no clue.
So basically,
Curve
take
can't
I'm a
go-
brainlet, so
basically take a pencil, draw the curve such that it like 2 points never like x's ever have 2 different values for y. So like if x equals 2, you
So the
can't have 2 different values.
The curve
for y.
can't loop backward.
Yeah, basically the curve can't loop backwards. If you take your pencil and draw it such that the curve can't loop backwards and just draw it forward, that's a continuous function. Do you know what the
Oh.
definition of that is in math?
no clue.
It is for all epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0, such that the distance between x and x naught, where x naught is an element of the set of real numbers, is less than delta, implies that the distance between f of x and f of x naught is less than epsilon. Do you have any idea what I just said?
No.
That is how everyone feels.
That's the
We-
start.
okay,
That's the
we-
start of every proof. And
We are going to cultivate a very smart audience.
No, they're just not going to know what the hell any of us are talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I actually passed this class. I fully passed this
have it
course.
memorized.
I have it memorized. I just don't remember it because
Can
Fuck
you
that
write
class.
it down for me? We'll put it up on the video. Watch on YouTube. Fuck Spotify. No, don't fuck Spotify.
I can actually
listen to us.
I can actually write it up. Funnily enough, but like
Oh, I'm sure you have it memorized for the rest of your life.
absolutely, it's just one of those because I loved it. Actually, I loved that section. And
Mhm.
on the final, there were 6 questions. I did 2 of them. I did 2 problems on the final. One of them had to do with this very subject, continuity. I think I did 3 questions on the final.
Continuity is pretty important, though.
See, I
It's
don't
very important.
remember much about math in high school other than I just got really stressed out and cried sometimes.
So what I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. See?
Yeah, see?
Math is
Totally.
Math is cry-worthy.
math is good until you do all that bullshit.
Math is cool until you read a paper and then they all of a sudden just say the diagonalized upper matrix does this and they multiply some shit and you're going, what is this nonsense? Where did this all come from? I don't know.
Diagonalized?
So an upper diagonalized matrix, I'm probably saying the wrong definition, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I've been drinking and I don't care, is a matrix where all the diagonals are some number, so not 0, and all the numbers underneath the diagonal are 0.
Gotcha.
If
Easy.
anyone has seen a matrix and knows what a matrix is in mathematics, all the numbers underneath the diagonal are 0.
I remember the diagonal always being important because that's orthogonality
Yes.
in the functions. So
Yes.
orthogonality is linearly independent.
And it is very important, and it is everywhere. And it's
I
stupid because that's what I'm doing right now.
and linearly independent means that they're perpendicular on a graph.
Yes.
And those are pretty much all the same,
Yes.
unless you get into stupid math, which I think there's like slight differences between those definitions.
Not really. It's the same explanation, but there's a different explanation given. So the formal definition for orthogonality or linearly independent is that you can't. So for a matrix, you can't take one column, multiply it by some constant, and get another column.
Yeah,
As essentially what it is. So like, all of them are independent from one another. You can't just like shrink down the matrix.
but on a graph it means perpendicular.
It means perpendicular on a graph. Correct. Yes. Yes. It is very difficult to even conceptualize this, so I
another
can't
way
even
of saying
imagine what Nick
is
is
that-
feeling.
My brain is short
You
circuiting
can't
right
put
now.
this variable in terms of any of the other variables.
Yes.
That's-
That is another way of saying it. Or another way of saying it is that the cosine between the two variables is 0 because it's at 90 degrees.
There's a million ways to say it, and none of them make it any easier to actually understand.
All
So-
of them are massively complicated, dumb things that you need to learn and know.
It took me far too long to learn them when I was in my DiffyQ course. I was probably about halfway through the DiffyQ course when I made that connection, and I was like, this is way too late in the course to be making this connection. I'm fucked.
I'm surprised they even talked about it in DiffyQ. They didn't talk about it in
Literally,
my
the first
DiffyQ.
day he came in and was talking about orthogonality. That was the professor that taught like a graduate
Oh, of course,
professor.
yeah, of course.
My DiffyQ course, I know nothing about DiffyQ because he literally taught it. He literally showed us proofs, and I'm like, this is not the class for proofs, my friend.
No. DiffyQ, how it's taught now is pretty easy because there was like apparently some referendum like 30 years ago where they made it much easier. So it's just like, solving some problems and like doing some. It's not too hard. Like I bullshitted my way and I got an A. Like,
Yeah.
The joke from people I was like taking it with was like, I could never show up to this class and get like a C.
Mm-hmm.
If you showed up to the course and like did the homework, you got an A. It was fucking brain dead.
Yeah.
The proofs of differential equations are absolute. Like any time you go into calculus and differential equations, which is the same field, and do proofs of it, is the most bullshit thing you've ever seen. And you spend like 4 weeks just trying to figure out what the hell they even talked about. I just don't understand most of it. It's so silly.
So yeah, he was like, hello, undergraduates. Did you like to learn stuff? Too bad. I'm teaching this like a grad course because this is the only undergrad course I ever teach.
Yeah.
I teach only grad courses, and for some reason they forced me to do this one. So here you go. Fuck you guys.
They actually do that. So for every few years, graduate professors like teach an undergraduate course. I had that for my PDE course.
It's horrible, dude.
It can be really difficult.
He literally was just like, let's just rip this crazy shit. And like, I don't know what you're saying to me. And I never understood. And I resorted to just memorizing everything, which from what I've talked to other people going through DiffyQ, you memorize anything.
Yes,
You pretty much
do.
just memorize it anyway.
That is exactly what you do. In fact, yes.
But that's not how I learn. I'm a horrible memorizer. I like knowing why. Once I know why something works, I can actually remember it. But if I don't know why it works, it's gone. It's like, oh, I just memorize it? Well, then I'm just going to look it up in the future.
Calculus must be a very difficult thing for you because you never are taught why. No, you were taught the bullshit reason why.
Yeah. I'm okay with bullshit reasons.
God.
Literally, if you give me a bullshit reason, I'll be like, sure, that works for me.
Funnily enough, and anyone who's taken calculus,
They're
and it's not
lying
like
to you.
a very high level, like super way out there level, they're absolutely lying to you on why it works and what is really going on. Like, this is a Christopher Lee quote, which was my advisor as an undergraduate at Iowa State. He was, every time I go into calculus and teach a course in calculus, I'm lying to my students, like every day. I just lie to my students because this is not what this means. This is not what it means at all. But you know what? We can't go into the real reason.
But it works.
It works, and we can't go into the real reason because the real reason is stupid, and it's for advanced people, and you don't need to know it. So,
yeah. Because
screw it.
I mean, is the explanation actually all that wrong?
It's kind of wrong. It is kind of wrong.
Okay.
It's...
But if it works and it doesn't break down...
Yes.
Does it break
works,
down?
Not
at times?
really, from what I understand.
But it is still, like...
It is still technically wrong from the definitions of how we built it up.
How does it work so reliably, then? I hate it.
Welcome to the contradictions of math.
I'm glad I've never had to take calculus.
Here's a fun thing to think about. This is geometry.
Sure.
So this is a geometry thing.
I hate geometry.
Yes,
okay.
so do I. I wanted to go into it to break it and found out you can't break it because that's not how it works. Unfortunate. I would have been a great geometry. I would have been an awful geometry person. Okay. Anyway, suppose you have a line. Mm-hmm. Suppose you have a point. So a point right here.
Okay.
How many lines are there going parallel to this second line that I said, it initially started with, that intersect this point? How many lines are parallel to this one that intersect this point?
24.
Okay, so you have these two.
So you have a point here. You have a point and you have a line. How many different things can you say that go through this point that are parallel to this line?
25.
2 dimensions.
1.
Yeah, that
Yes.
works.
Fuck yes.
Yes, that works. 1.
I did a math.
Now in 3 dimensions,
No.
it would be
Just
right?
that is a
valid.
definition. I forget what the exact math word is for it because I'm a little drunk at the moment. But there is
Axiom.
Axiom. It is an axiom, correct? So there is an axiom. So that is either true or false. So that means that there is one point, and if you say there's one point, you get Euclidean geometry, which is the geometry you learned. Or if you say that there are an infinite amount, which is also technically true, you would get non-Euclidean geometry, in which, depending on how you define it, either circular or I forget the other one. I forget what we talked. It was either circular.
We just talked about this.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
It was circular or something else. You get
I something.
isometric, whatever.
Yeah.
You get a triangle. Triangles have everything but 180 degrees. Depending on how you define it, it's either greater than 180 or less than 180 degrees. So both are true, because it's an axiom, so both are true. You get non-Euclidean or Euclidean geometry, and the worst part is, both have been observed in the real world. So they are both correct. And they both seem to be anathema to each other and contradict each other, but they do not. And math is cool with that.
And what that really means is that how you imagine the definition of a triangle is not a complete definition of what a triangle is. What you imagine a triangle is not the true definition of a triangle.
What?
Yeah. Triangles aren't triangles.
Oh my god.
Not all bees fly. Not all bees form hives. There are solitary bees. Not all bees sting.
And not all
bees are
triangles?
yellow. What's a bee? That's a good question.
What is gender?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like what is gender is almost an easier question for me than what is a bee. But maybe that's just because
Really?
I don't know enough about it.
Why is that not in public discourse right now?
What a bee is?
Yeah, what a bee.
Let's make it happen,
you
guys.
Forget about gender. What the fuck is a bee?
Okay. Not all bees make honey.
Okay.
Not all bees. What makes a bee in your mind?
They make honey.
No. Wrong.
Like what makes a man? They inseminate.
No. Wrong.
Damn it.
Yeah, no. That actually tripped me up. Because one day I learned that not all bees fly. And I just started researching bees.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, everything I thought that a bee was, not all bees do that. So that's not what a bee is. That's not what makes a bee a bee. And the best answer that I could find is a bee is part of the this species, blah, 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 in the family, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so it's just a genus thing. It's just you're in a certain, a gene thing.
Yeah.
But there's no physical characteristics that unite bees. together, and it bothered me to no
There's-
end.
And there's like,
They're all
nothing-
insects.
Yeah, and there's
So that's
nothing
one
like
thing.
written in the universe that says so.
No, it's just because of how freaking biology works. Where at this point it's more rigorous, so at least we know how you can like look up genes and shit.
That's how I was going to define it. Actually, it's just a particular genome. But,
Yeah, it's a particular genome, but like it's so unsatisfying.
it is very unsatisfying. Welcome to the real world of science, where when you learn a definition and a truth, it's just very unsatisfying.
Not all bees fly. That fucked me up. That fucked me up for like a solid week.
Also,
I was like,
Not
to this
all.
day, whenever I'm like feeling really confident in my life, I'm like, yeah, I know it all. I've got it all figured out. I'm like, dude, you didn't even know what a fucking bee was, you dumb piece of shit.
to be fair,
You thought all bees flew.
Not
No.
all bees make honey.
not bumblebees, from all the laws of avionics that we know, really, they shouldn't be flying. From what we know, from the laws of aviation that we understand and we have derived in aerospace engineering and all that, bumblebees shouldn't be flying, but they do. Bees are stupid. Bees are really dumb.
Bees fly because God made it so.
Not all crystals need to be formed from periodicity repeating molecules.
Yeah, so
Periodically repeating molecules.
it could be a 5-1 or a 10-1 or whatever it was you
Any,
talked about
yeah.
when you
It
called
can
me
have
about that.
any number of rotational symmetries on any axis. So there
Don't
you go.
worry, none of us know what the hell that means either.
Nope.
So if you're lost in the
I read a book.
listening,
They're
But that just
probably
means
as
that-
lost as me right now.
I was also lost. I mean, I kind of get
I-
maybe 1%.
I read a book, and I still really don't know, other than the words that I said are apparently accurate.
Yes, that's so true. It hurts me. Why is this true? I don't know. But this paper I read,
What does it mean? I don't know. I read the words, and I know the words.
I've spent literally the past 2 days trying to figure out what the hell this means. I still don't know. That is actually why I have meetings with my advisors for
Mhm.
research. It's not to like talk about like these ground. No. It's to figure out what the hell their papers meant and what they said in their papers. That is it. That's all I'm doing right now. Just figuring out what they said and how they calculated their papers.
True breakthroughs are very, very few and very, very far between. Most of science is just this grueling plod that barely moves forward, and maybe like every generation writes an extra paper that adds on like a tiny little piece of a puzzle.
And that's why when you get people who have done those papers, like Gauss,
Mm-hmm.
because Gauss I think wrote like 4 or 5 papers. Every paper he did was just groundbreaking in
Mhm.
physics, electrical engineering, math. Just the most groundbreaking thing ever. It's just like, you had like 5 of those. I'd be happy with 1.
Who is
For-
Gauss,
Gauss?
he is super.
Ooh.
He's famous in stats, in
So-
math, in physics.
Let me show you one of the concepts that he put into the math world. So you have some area here. Imagine stuff going through an area.
Mm.
So water through a pipe, air through a wind turbine, all that stuff. That's Gauss. He came up with the mathematical concept of stuff going through area.
Another fun thing in statistics, you know the normal distribution?
Think about how many physical systems have stuff going through area. I mentioned 2 alone, but like the air going through a doorway. That's Gauss.
Think of like, you know in stats when everyone just says the normal curve, like that bell-shaped curve?
Mhm.
That is called the Gaussian distribution, or the normal curve, which the central limit theorem states that as n goes to infinity, every curve goes to the normal distribution, or the Gaussian curve.
It's a fundamental curve.
It is
of the
literally
universe.
the fundamental curve of statistics, where if you get enough people or participants, it will break down to a Gaussian curve.
Wait, when was he born?
Like 1800s, I think.
Oh.
1900s. I think it was 1800s.
Probably, yeah.
I think it was 1800s.
Yeah, Gauss is a Chad.
He had like 5 papers, and every one of them were groundbreaking and revolutionized his field, and he was also a complete douchebag.
That should be our
Yeah,
podcast's motto.
he's
Gauss
such-
was a Chad.
He's such a Chad that he's probably still alive today.
Probably. He didn't die.
Yeah, if he
ascended.
was still alive, he would have made a great paper.
He ascended.
He's dead.
He's
He's not dead. He ascended to a higher plane of
He's
existence.
living on Venus right now.
Yeah, of
On
course.
the 8th dimension.
You know, only he
Yeah,
is, only him is he's smart enough to figure that shit out.
Exactly.
Oh, then there was like
Him and Tesla chilling
Yeah.
up there.
then there was like 5 people that solved all of calculus. Like if you talk about calculus, you basically say Bolzano, Weierstrass, Cauchy, Riemann, and some other guy I'm forgetting
There's a
right
Russian
now.
dude that also started figuring out calculus. He invented calculus before Newton, apparently. But
I'm
doesn't
saying
get credit.
proofs. I'm saying proofs, not inventing. Proofs.
Gotcha. Or discovered. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. He discovered calculus.
Newton isn't in this equation. He didn't prove anything in calculus. He just kind of came up with stuff and used it. We're talking proving it.
Gotcha.
There was like 5
there's
guys
some
that
Russian-
solved it all.
There's some Russian dude that discovered calculus.
I think
He also tried to make a computer, and this was like 1600s, and it wasn't a digital computer; it was a mechanical computer.
Hmm.
But yeah, he was working on a computer, and then the Tsar was like, "It's kind of a cool toy," but it literally had the same like binary logic system, and so I guess digital logic, but it wasn't electronic; it was mechanical switches.
There were 2 people who like came up with calculus or found it or whatever at the same time. It was Newton and the other guy. I forget his name, but Newton did derivations, so he did derivatives. The other guy went the other direction and did integrals. And if anyone is
That
taking
asshole.
calculus, integrals are a million times harder than derivatives. You spend 3 chapters, depending on your textbook, 3 to 4 chapters on derivatives, and you've solved all of derivatives. It's just that easy. Integrals,
Are more fun.
no, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. Have you done an awful integral before?
Yeah. I did Emacs.
And I did stats integrals. Those aren't even solvable. They're awful. Okay, they're technically solvable because of bullshit, but
Yes, I mean, a lot of the physics integrals are solvable just by... Fourier figured this shit out. And we just trust Fourier.
a lot of
Because
our
he's French.
a lot of our integrals were like, note that this integral equals 1, so we'll just put some bullshit out front and it's 1 times some constant.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, I actually enjoy solving integrals a lot more than derivatives, just because they're... I mean, derivatives is just done.
It is just done. Makes
It's
it
one
nice.
step. A derivative is one step. Integrals...
Sometimes it's 2 or 3.
Yeah, I guess if you want to, like, go through it.
Yeah.
Like the chain rule, if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to step through the chain rule, you can.
Sometimes if you have a really
If you
awful
skip
derivative,
the chain rule, people can figure it out on their own, because a lot of people can just skip the chain rule and be like, I know what this looks like.
But sometimes you get a really bad derivative that you need a
Okay.
couple steps. Come
Okay, yeah, some of those bullshit ones that they make up to be that hard. And they've manufactured these nasty derivatives that you'd almost never see.
on. Sometimes you actually do see it in the real world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The thing is, the difference is you don't ever calculate them by hand. You throw it into a calculator
Gotcha.
and have it, and then you just kind of look at it and say, "Hey, does that make sense here? Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Cool, good enough for me."
But integrals, you can sink your teeth into. It's kind of like a puzzle, you know? Some people like Sudoku. Some
I'm
people...
with you, yeah.
Some people like Sudoku. Some people like Rubik's Cubes. Some people like integrals.
Integrals can go to hell.
It's valid.
Also, Fourier series.
My
Fourier
opinion-
series can go to hell.
Okay, I agree with you there. Just because Fourier series, he figured it out, you know? And then you just use whatever he did. It's fine.
When I took the class, it kind of made sense. But, like, if you ask me about it now, all I can tell you is there's a bunch of cosines in it. And cosines are better than sines. 'Cause
Yeah.
Reasons. I don't remember the reason, but cosines are better than sines.
It's
Even
still-
though they're the same thing, except one shifted. They're the same fucking thing.
I still don't always understand where the imaginary numbers fall out in my equations. Like, there's a -1 there, and it's in a square root, so I guess it's an imaginary number now. I really don't understand how that... We're in physics. Nothing in physics should be imaginary. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but that's just they call it imaginary, but it's a misnomer. It's not actually imaginary.
Yeah.
It's the complex numbers. It's the complex plane. It's not imaginary.
I
It's
feel like
orthogonal.
That's not
It is, though. It is orthogonal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Complex plane?
Yeah. The convex plane and then the real plane.
Yeah, that is. I'm talking just some random equation. I thought just some random equation if you say
But the complex is orthogonal with the real.
Yeah. That's how you just derive. That's how you graph it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not completely stupid. Okay, I'm not completely stupid. I know something.
But
I remember something from complex analysis. Not much.
But then that's how you verify system stability in control systems, as if it's on the quadrant 2 or 3. It's a stable system.
So you define it 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 and 3 is on the left side.
Yeah. It's over there, and it always comes in pairs. That's all I remember from control systems. The points, whatever the fuck they are, come in pairs, and if they're on the left side, then it's stable.
If you take anything away from this, just take away this. The definition of a complex number is that it is -1 equals I squared. It is not I equals square root of -1. That is not the correct definition. The correct definition is I squared equals -1.
Hot.
I just spent like 5 minutes looking at the camera to say, I don't fucking know.
My professor made a big point of saying that was true. I don't know why it's true. I've forgotten, but it's true.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. But aren't they equivalent?
They're apparently not.
That's bullshit.
Don't talk to me. Go talk to Professor Lee. He's the one that taught the course.
Why can't you just take the square root of both sides? They're equivalent. Fuck you.
Because it doesn't work out. Because of stupid negative. I don't know.
Math works.
Does it? Sometimes I question.
You know, if you take anything from this, despite what Raj just said about taking anything from this, take the fact that we really don't know what we're talking about.
No one knows what they're talking about. Another Dr. Lee quote. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about in math. What are you talking about?
I'm only like a 40-year veteran in the field. Like, how would I know what I'm talking about?
Okay, he was only like a 10-year veteran. He was actually pretty young.
I feel like this podcast is just going to sound like word salad to the average American.
That's fine.
All right. Transitioning over into a topic that everyone can understand, the claim to fame for Professor Lee was he had a red chili pepper next to his name on Rate My Professor.
Oh, yeah.
So that meant he was really hot. And the head of our department, Professor Butler, who is world-renowned, made a point every time he brought someone to introduce Professor Lee and say, "This is Professor Lee. He has a red chili pepper next to his name on Rate My Professor." Showcasing to everyone he brought in that one of his professors was really hot. And every time it made Professor Lee just go, "God help me, why?"
I'm hot, bro. I can't help it. All right, we're at hour and 7 minutes, so I think we're gonna call it for today, unless we decide to do another podcast episode tonight. I don't know.
We could, honestly.
We could just rip another one, but for your sake, we're gonna at least do a different topic this time.
We're not gonna do math, yeah, because math is stupid.
So,
math is if anything, take this from math. Math is dumb.
We may see you in a couple minutes, but you won't see us for a week. So,
Yeah,
bye.
I might sleep on this, so bye.
Don't sleep on it. You'll give yourself a nightmare.
Oh shit!
It gives me nightmares.
Bye.
Bye. I'll just watch porn instead.
That's hot.